Hi, and welcome to episode 1 from Functional Capacity Assessments, the NDIS Access series. In this video, we're going to talk about how to apply for the NDIS. We're going to go step by step. It's the complete 2026 walkthrough, eligibility, the access request form, the evidence that decides it, and the mistakes to avoid. Before you start, there's 3 eligibility gates. First of all, there's age. You must be under 65 when your access request is made. You can be 1 day before you turn 65 and you can get that access request in. If you are in that situation, I would suggest you ring up and do a verbal access request. You can do it over the phone. You must have residency, so be an Australian citizen, permanent resident or protected SCV holder living in Australia, and you must have a disability. So you must meet the disability requirements S24 or early intervention requirements S25. You can look both those things up on Google if you need to. They'll be in another video as part of this series later. So the first 2 are paperwork. The third is where the real work and this series lives. The 5-step application process. So number 1, check eligibility, your age, your residency, and an honest look at the disability requirements. Number 2, contact the NDIA. Call 1-800-800-110 or apply via the current form, or a local area coordinator can help, otherwise known as an LAC. 3, gather your evidence. Diagnostic and permanency evidence plus functional impact evidence. There's a lot of conversation around functional impact, and the NDIS and the NDIA are moving towards functional impact being the most, or one of the most important pieces of evidence when you're applying to the NDIS. Number 4, complete the form. Section 2 with your treating health professionals, the make or break part. And number 5, submit and respond. The NDIA decides or requests more information. Answer quickly and completely. So when you do submit, whether it's through a VAR, a verbal access request, i.e. you ring them up and you ask to go onto the NDIS and they take your application over the phone, or you apply via the current form or via your LAC, make sure you get a reference number that you can quote when you need to. The evidence that decides it. So on the left-hand side here, we've got diagnostic and permanency. So diagnosis from treating practitioners, permanent or likely to be permanent, treatment tried, and their results. You're going to need all of these things to be able to apply correctly to the NDIS. On the right-hand side, functional impact. The NDIS and the NDIA are looking for things like how disability affects everyday life across the 6 functional domains. There's another video in this series about the 6 functional domains, or you can jump onto our website and read about the 6 functional domains if you choose. And of course, support, frequency, consequence. So they're looking for literally how your disability affects your functional impact around everyday life across the 6 functional domains, how much support you need, how often, and what's the consequence if you don't get this support. So most applications carry the left column and forget the right. And that's the number 1 rejection pattern that we see. Section 2, the make or break section. This is completed with your treating health professionals. It asks for evidence of disability and its functional impact. I'm going to repeat that. So it asks for evidence of disability and its functional impact. You must link the 2 together. Permanence must be clearly addressed. Functional capacity across the 6 domains should be considered. Standardized scores strengthen it significantly, which is why when we do functional capacity assessments and assessments in this space, standardized scores, standardized assessment tools are often used, and a short GP consult rarely covers all of this. This single section is where an OT-led functional assessment earns its place. The 4 mistakes that cost people months. Diagnosis only. Submitting medical letters with no functional impact evidence. No line between the medical diagnosis and what functional impact it actually causes in your daily life and what the impact of that is. Best day reporting. Describing your good days instead of describing your typical or worst days. No support detail. Leaving out how often you need help and what happens without it. Slow responses. Letting NDIA information requests sit unanswered. Every one of these is avoidable, and every one adds months if it isn't. So Want the functional evidence handled properly? We have an NDIS Access Request assessment. It's an entry level. It's not for complex cases. It's for people who want just that little bit of extra weight when they're putting in an application to the NDIS. You get 5 hours of dedicated OT time. It's done by Telehealth Australia-wide for adults and adolescents. We use standardized tools, functional information for your access request, including Section 2 guidance and links to the 6 functional domains. It's pretty easy. You can pay online or you can can fill in a referral form. The intake gets completed and your OT is allocated. And generally speaking, if we get all the documents we need and get the interviews done, we can normally turn these things around in around 5 to 7 days after those two things have been done. But for complex or higher support needs, or if SIL or SDA is for you, a comprehensive FCA is usually the better investment. You can jump on our website, use our free decision tree or intake, and we can tell you honestly what we think. If you've got any questions, please reach out.